All right, this is Chapter 2, Lesson 1, Solve Two-Step Equations. So in this first box, we have recall that in mathematics, blank are statements that are true for any number. In that blank, you're going to write properties. Properties, okay? A blank blank contains two operations. In the equation, 2x plus 3 equals 7, x is multiplied by 2, and then 3 is added. To solve two-step equations, undo each operation in reverse order. So in those two blanks, you're going to write two-step equation. So a two-step equation contains two operations. So let's take a look at some examples. The first example I have says, solve 2x plus 3 equals 7. So there are two different methods that you can use. The first is using a model. So I have my model set up. I have two x's plus 3, so 2x plus 3 equals 7. I have 7 tiles over here, okay? So the first step, I have to undo the operations. Normally I would use, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, when I solve things, right? I go parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract, okay? Basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going backwards, okay? So in order to get x by itself, I have to first subtract both sides of my equation. Remember, because I'm balancing, so I have to subtract 3 because I'm adding 3 here, so I need to subtract 3 to get x by itself. So I subtract 3 to this side, I also have to subtract 3 to this side. When I do that, this cancels and this cancels, right? Or 3 of them cancel. So I'm left with 2x equals 4. Now right here I'm multiplying, right? The opposite of multiplication is division. So 2, I'm going to divide both of these sides by 2. And when I do that, I get x equals 2. Method 2 is to use symbols. Okay. So I write the equation, 2x plus 3 equals 7. I subtract 3 from both sides, so this becomes 0. So 2x equals 4. In order to get x by itself, I divide by 2. 2x divided by 2 gives me x because the 2's cancel out. 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. So either way, I get a solution of 2. All right, let's take a look at example number 2. Okay. It says solve 25 equals 1/4 n minus 3. So the first thing I do is write my equation. You always want to write your equation. It's very helpful, okay? Now I look over here. This is the side my n is on. I want to get n by itself. In order to do that, I need to get rid of some stuff. I have to get rid of the 1/4 and I have to get rid of the minus 3. Well, the minus 3 I need to get rid of first because it's not directly attached to my n. You see how the 1/4 is multiplied to the n? So I want to add or subtract first. So since I'm already subtracting, I need to add to get rid of it. Okay, so I add 3 to this side and add 3 to this side. Negative 3 plus 3 gives me 0, so I'm left with 1/4 n, and 25 plus 3 gives me 28. Then I have 1/4. Okay, remember when we're talking about fractions, we can multiply by the reciprocal or the multiplicative inverse. So I'm going to multiply 1/4 by 4. Well, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 4 times 28 equals 112, And 4 times 1/4, remember this cancels. So I'm left with just n. So I have 112 equals n. You can always go back and substitute it back in to make sure it works. All right, let's look at problem number 3. Problem number 3 says, solve 6 minus 3x equals 21. Okay, again, I have the 6 and the 3 on the one side with the x. I want to get rid of the 6 first. So I subtract 6 from both sides. 6 minus 6, this cancels, gives me 0. I'm left with negative 3x, and 21 minus 6 gives me 15. Then, because I'm multiplying here, I divide both sides by negative 3. Make sure you want to get a positive x. You want to have a positive variable. Okay? Divide negative 3 by both sides. Negative 3 divided by negative 3, this cancels, and I'm left with x equals 15 divided by negative 3 gives me negative 5. Okay? Again, you can always double check your answer. So if I plug negative 5 back in, negative 5 times negative 3, or negative 5 times 3 gives me negative 15. 6 minus a negative 15, which is really 6 plus 15, does give me 21. 21 does equal 21. Okay. Example number 4. Chicago's lowest recorded temperature in degrees Fahrenheit is negative 27 degrees. Solve the equation negative 27 equals 1.8 C plus 32 to convert to degrees Celsius. Okay, so I'm going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So I'm going to take negative 27 equals 1.8 C plus 32. I want to get rid of this 32 because it's on the side of the C. So I'm adding, so the opposite is subtraction. So I subtract negative 32 from both sides. Negative 27 minus 32 gives me negative 59. That equals 1.8 C. Now I'm multiplying here, so I need to divide. I divide both sides by 1.8. This cancels. I'm left with C. And negative 59 divided by 1.8 is negative 32.8, approximately. We rounded, okay? So Chicago's lowest recorded temperature is about negative 32.8 degrees Celsius. All right, now on page 43, you have a couple of try it problems. Go ahead, pause the video. I want you to try the try it problems out, okay? When you're done, come back and we will work on them together. All right, now that you have worked on the try it problems by yourself, let's take a look at them together. The first one I have is A, 3x plus 2 equals 20. So the first thing I want to do is I want to subtract 2 from both sides. So I'm left with 3x equals 20 minus 2 gives me 18. Then I want to divide by 3. So this cancels. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So x equals 6. All right, for letter B, 5 plus 2n equals negative 1. I want to subtract 5 from both sides. So I have 2n equals negative 6. Then I divide by 2, n equals negative 3. For letter C, I have negative 1 equals 1/2 A plus 9. So I want to subtract 9 from both sides. Negative 1 minus 9 gives me negative 10 equals 1/2 A. It's a fraction, so I want to multiply by its multiplicative inverse, which is 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. 2 times negative 10 gives me negative 20, and this equals A. So negative 20 equals A, or A equals negative 20. All right. For letter D, I have 2/5 R minus 5 equals 7. I want to add 5 to both sides. So I get 2/5 r equals 12. Then the multiplicative inverse of 2/5 is 5/2. Okay. This cancels. I'm left with r equals 12 times 5 is 60, divided by 2 is 30. So r equals 30. For letter E, I have 10 minus 2/3 p equals 52. I want to subtract 10 from both sides. I have negative 2/3 p equals 42. Okay. Then I want to multiply by its multiplicative inverse, which is negative 3/2. Okay. This cancels. I'm left with p. Okay. 42 times 3 is 126. Divided by 2 is 63, and it's negative. So p equals negative 63. Letter F, negative 19 equals negative 3x plus 2. I want to subtract 2 from both sides, so I get negative 21 equals negative 3x. Then I divide by negative 3. Negative 21 divided by negative 3 gives me 7. And this cancels, so I'm left with x. Okay. Letter G is n divided by negative 3 minus 2 equals negative 18. So I want to add 2 to both sides. So I get n over negative 3 equals negative 16. Okay, this is division, so I want to multiply both sides by negative 3. This cancels. I'm left with n equals negative 16 times negative 3 gives me a positive 48. Okay. Letter H, zoom out a little bit. Okay. Cassidy went to the movies with some of her friends. The tickets cost $6.50 each, and they spent $17.50 on snacks. The total amount paid was $63. Solve the equation 63 equals 6.50p plus $17.50 to determine how many people went to the movies. So I'm going to take my equation, 63 equals 650p plus 1750. I'm going to subtract 1750 from both sides. So 63 minus 1750 is 4550 equals 650p. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 650. And that gives me, so P equals 7. 4550 divided by 650. Okay, can you do it on the calculator? Gives me 7. Okay, and that is the end of lesson 2.